What?
Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome to another Soulution Sunday, because the soul, the grand being of light you are, is the solution. I'm Lisa Warner. I'm the author of The Simplicity of Self-Healing, now in its 10th anniversary edition. Today, I am here with my monthly guest, Keith Leon S., director, producer, creator of The Inside Effects movie and book series. Today, Keith and I are going to be talking about what's next after you've seen The Inside Effects. How else can we help you change your reality? How can we help change this world? Bring this world back into a place that we love to live in. So today, Keith and I are talking about 7 steps to mastering the creation of your reality, a new program that we have created to help you create the reality that you want to live in. So Keith, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me as usual. And the 7 steps to mastering the creation of your reality is really a front seat to all the conversations that Lisa and I have had since we finally got to meet in person. It was like last year, right? Beginning of last year. And we've sat around and talked about all the things that we have manifested, all the health challenges we got through, all of the relationship things that we've been through and got to the other side of, all the conversations that we've had. And as we had these conversations, we started to realize that there were a lot of things that we teach that are the same, only different. Right? Like Lisa has a process and I have a process, but they both net the same result. And so it's so exciting because finally I feel like we get to share with the world all of the tools and tips and conversations and things that we've been talking about, ever since we met. So it's exciting. It's exciting. I'm so looking forward to meeting all of you who will take this workshop and rolling up our sleeves together and seeing all the things that you'll manifest in the 7 weeks that we're together.
It is extremely exciting. And I'm so used to working by myself doing things that I'm really excited to be able to work with you and create something together, because where 2 or more are gathered, miracles happen.
Mm-hmm. We know that's true.
Right? We
Yes.
have both watched this happen time and time and time again, where when
Mm-hmm.
we set an intention and we put it out there, that it comes to pass very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Some of the things that Lisa and I were talking about is that so many of us are relying on outside sources to tell us what to do. And that's one of the things that we share in the Inside Effects movie, is that really we are the one who knows best. Right? The answer to any question that has to do with us is right inside of us. And so if you're like me in the past, before I got some of the tools that will teach you, I used to kind of go back and forth and tug of war within me so many times that I would forget what the first instinct I had was. Right? And that first one's always right. So it's like being able to notice, sense, feel, write down the first instinct is one of the things that will help us to know what to do. And then there's so many other ways to gain access to that information. And so that's one of the things we'll be for sure sharing in this course that we're doing together.
Yeah, when I was growing up, I found it very, very difficult to follow my own inner guidance, because as a kid, my inner guidance would say, whoa, don't do that. And then, my mother or the teacher or somebody said, you have to do that. It's like,
Mm,
wow, now what do I do?
you
Now I'm
have.
stuck because
Mm,
my inner guidance knows clearly that this is not the right thing for me to do. But the people who are bigger than me and stronger than me and older than me and in a position of authority say, no, you have to do this because those are the
mm,
rules. And
right.
that set up some very, very difficult internal struggles. I
Hmm.
know I'm not the only one that has suffered with those same internal struggles.
Yeah. And the outside programming is so strong. It's,
Exactly.
I mean, wow, even like one of the first things I remember being a child was the commercials. Like I can remember theme songs from commercials when I was just a kid, right?
Mhm.
And they're still with me after all these years. And some of those commercials I haven't seen since I was a child. And talk about programming. Like I know that if I want a car, I need to go see Cal, right? If you're looking for a better set of wheels, I will stand upon my head to beat all deals. I'll stand upon my head till my ears turn red. Go see Cal, go see Cal, go see Cal. I was like 3.
Good.
Right. And so all of the shows and all of the TV programming has was really got in my head growing up for sure, and for many years until I started doing like experiential growth work and workshops and seminars and learning from the masters. I like to call them. And masters are, to me, are anybody who's able to put into words something that lands within me in a way that has me take action or make a change, and then I get benefit from it. Right? So, or some people might say the masters are these, like super famous people or the people that wrote, books. I would say anybody who's taught me something that has really helped me make a profound shift in my life. Those are the masters to me.
Yeah. We've been taught to listen to the authority figures, and come to find out authority figures and masters are two completely different species.
For sure.
Authority figures, they're actually not the ones who have the innate wisdom. They're not the ones who are here to help us grow. They're not the ones who are to be listened to as far as our inner guidance is concerned, because they've not been taught the ways of mastery. And really, any of the
Mm,
ways of mastery are the ways of peace, the ways that the universe works. The
yeah.
universe, in and of itself, is a peaceful universe. It is created in divine perfection. And
Yeah.
anything that is in harmony with the universe is automatically in the flow, automatically in well being.
Yeah.
But we have been so disconnected from the ways of the universe. We have been uh, incubated in this society that is a warmongering, disease mongering society. We think war and disease are just natural. And anything from that, nothing is
Yeah.
natural about these things. Nothing is
Right.
normal about these things. And it's time for us to take our planet back. It's time for us to bring the planet back into harmony with the universe so that we can
Mm,
all live in peace and harmony and well-being together.
yes. Yes. And yeah, the way that we can step into that is to get things right within ourselves first before we start to try to help others or lift other people up. It's how can I be one with what's going on right here, right? In what I call my 3 feet, and you call the globe. Again, two different tools, same thing, teaching it in a different way. Uh, and that's where I just came to realize, because I had this grand vision that I wanted to serve the masses and I wanted to help teach them the tools that I was learning. And I was still in process of learning. And I just realized at one point, how can I be there for the masses if I'm not whole, complete, in love with everything about myself, right? Every every pock mark, every line, every pound, every anything. Like, how could I love myself fully, 100%? Love everything about me and realize that I didn't actually make any mistakes, right? Everything that I saw as a seeming mistake was always a lesson and taught me something. So how could I see things that I used to think were negative as a good thing, even when they felt like a negative thing, right? How could I be okay right here where I am? And I knew that once I got that right, right, I could love myself 100% no matter what. Then I could start thinking about supporting others, because it's just a big mirror, right? It's a huge mirror. So yeah, so I spent many years and doing that, and I was doing the math. I think between the two of us, we have 40 years plus experience of doing the work, sharing the work, right? Teaching, supporting, doing the things that we do, and that's amazing.
Yeah, I think we've both learned a thing or 10 in the last 40 years of teaching and all of the things that we've each had to go through in our lives to
Yeah.
overcome. And once we were able to see things from a different perspective, that's when we were able to get ourselves unstuck and move through the situations that we were in, no matter what that situation was, whether it was facing cancer or chronic financial trauma, chronic pain, whatever it
Mhm.
is. Wherever we are stuck in our lives, it's because we are stuck in a pattern of thought, and in order to change anything, we have to be able to change the way we see things, to change the way we perceive things. And once we can change the way we look at things, then the things that we look at change, but not until.
Hence the mirror. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, when we realize that everything that we have that's outside of us started with inside of us, within us, right? Our thoughts, our beliefs, our words, the things we read, the things we fill our mind with, all of that creates our 3D reality outside of us, right? We are in charge of all of that. And wow. Right?
Yeah. I mean, when we're in the throes of the agony of whatever it is that we're going through, it doesn't seem like we're in charge. It seems like we're the victim. It seems like we're at the mercy of whatever the situation is,
Right. Right.
but that's
Yeah,
never the truth.
it can feel like that. And in my experience, I've been able to get out of that quicker when I realized, wait a minute, wait, I'm doing this, I'm creating this. So how can I get out of this? Right? Anytime that I had that, and sometimes it took a little while to get to that, or certain tools to get there. But once I get there, then I can get out of it so much faster. The feeling like a victim of something, I just spin and spin and spin round and round, and it just keeps repeating. It keeps going and keeps going, and it's like Groundhog Day. Right? It's Groundhog Day in my life. And then at some point, I realized, wait a minute, okay, I'm the one that can change this, and then step into, so how can I do that? What do I need to do in order to create this instead of that? And get into those thoughts and step into action, put action behind those thoughts, and then that's where things change. And
Uh,
I remember one of my mentors, Jack Canfield, he was doing a Q&A during one of his events, and somebody said, do you ever have a bad day? And I'll just never forget this. Do you ever have a bad day? And he said, bad day? No. And the whole room was like, oh. And he said, bad hour? Not anymore. Bad few minutes? Oh yeah. Right? He said, but I've identified in my body what it feels like when I am in fear, anger, upset, all of the seemingly negative qualities. He identified how that feels inside of his body. So then, when he feels that inside of his body, which he and I had the same exact thing, and that is that our stomach tenses. Our stomach tenses up. So it's like, oh, my stomach is tensing. What am I feeling? What triggered me? Okay. And then he goes into the many tools that he has in his toolbox to work through it. And so that process is never longer than 10 minutes, right? It's a few minutes. Oh, feel the feeling, okay, what triggered me? It kind of goes through the process, uses a tool. Maybe it's a different tool each time, depending on what it is. But he said he doesn't have any longer than 10 minutes of feeling bad anymore. And it just really, really landed with me. And so I kind of followed up because, we were friends and he was a personal mentor. So that was in a room full of people. So my follow up question later was, hey, can we identify mine? What tools do you use, right, to get out of it? And I went through, he gave me some tools for that. And so, yeah, I don't typically have days where I'm spun out at all anymore since then, which is a beautiful, beautiful gift that he gave me by teaching me to identify it through the tensing of the stomach. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, I used to have those days all the time where I was just like, I would stay sequestered in my house for days on end, feeling anxious and insecure and fearful and, ashamed of myself and all of these things where, I mean, my life was just miserable. And, then lo and behold, I find myself facing cancer. And it's like completely obvious to me that my miserableness was directly causing my body to be in that state of dis-ease. So it was, I don't know why it was so obvious to me when it doesn't seem to be obvious to a whole lot of other people, but it just was that the medical route was not where I needed to place my attention. My focus needed to be on how to master my own reality, like how to become masterful of my own body, how to
Mm-hmm.
become masterful of my thoughts and my emotions. And when I could bring myself back into harmony with the universe, with my soul, whatever you want to call it, with nature, just simply bring myself back into a place of peace and harmony,
Mm-hmm.
then it seemed quite obvious that my body would return to peace and harmony as well. And, that's exactly what happened. And, during that process, I uncovered a bunch of thought patterns that seem to be all pervasive throughout society. And
Mm-hmm.
so all pervasive that hardly anybody ever questions those thought patterns. But once we do question the thought patterns, it's like, Oh, well, wait a second. If that thought pattern's not true, then what other thought patterns am I thinking that aren't true?
Mm, mhm.
So these are some of the things that we're going to be sharing with you guys throughout these 7 days, these 7 classes, 1 class per week for
Yeah.
7 weeks to help you shift the way you think and shift the way you perceive the world. How did we get into this mess that we're in as a society? How do we get ourselves back out? How do we get into the mess we're in personally, whether we're facing a disease or a financial disaster, or like whatever that is?
Mm,
How did we get into this situation? And how can we get ourselves back out? How do we
mm.
transcend this and change it so that we don't have to face it again and again and again, like Groundhog Day?
Yes, I love it. Do you want me to share a little bit about the each week
That
of
would
the
be
set?
awesome.
Yeah. So week one, we dive into what is imagination, right? Why we have to change the way that we see. And that was like one of the first things that I talked about. We create our 3D reality, right? We create that. So it's learning how to see through a different lens, learning the practical application that everything is energy, right? Of everything is energy, and learn what Lisa calls the creation equation, which is a powerful tool for creation. And so week one, that's what we'll get into, and then each week, uh, one of the bonuses that you get is a closed eye process, a journey that Lisa will take us on. And she has a way, a very beautiful way with those journeys. And I've got to experience a lot of those. And so I'm looking forward to closing my eyes and breathing in and having that be at the end of each of our classes. Week two, we get into we are energy, right? Non physical, bringing our ideas to life. So, how ideas are brought into physical form, how our beliefs become our reality, how to make your ego your amigo, because that ego gets such a bad rap, just gets such a bad rap, and we got to make friends with that, not try to fight it. And so we'll get into that in ways that you can do that. So that and more in week two. Week three, talk about distorted thought patterns and how distorted thought patterns equal a distorted experience. So once again, this whole thing is about mastering our reality, creating the reality that we want in our world. So we're really going to get in there and look at distorted thought patterns, right? Why is it so hard to change our thoughts? Um, Stinking thinking creates a reality that stinks. I love that bullet point. And healing the self, not the body. Healing the self, not the body. So really get into how thought patterns are important, where they came from, how to identify them, and then how to change them in the moment so that we can create the reality that we want. Week four, how to take command of your thought space. Yes, take command of your thought space. Realize that you are not your body, and realize how to notice energy. In other words, seeing the invisible, and then many tools to undistort yourself forever. And so we want to give you tools to undistort yourself. Take command of your thoughts, because thoughts are things, thoughts become our reality. So we're going to transform our thinking together. And week five, how to create your best possible outcome. Yes, you are in charge of your creations. Your future is a blank slate. So, how to make the universe of infinite possibilities user friendly, right? Is what we're going to teach you. And so, best possible outcome is a term that my wife and I, Mara and I, created, and I used that process during the book "Who Do You Think You Are" that really put me on the map. I would kind of take away what I thought I needed to do for that day, or thought I needed to say to the person that I was going to reach out to, and instead ask myself, well, what's the best possible outcome of this? As opposed to, he will say yes to being in the book. That's attachment. Maybe not the best possible outcome to be attached. So best possible outcome from reaching out to famous people to be in the book was, they feel, when they open it up, they feel the energy of the email, they feel the energy of the project, and they really get that I want to help and support people. Yeah, if they like read this email and felt that, that would be the best possible outcome. So I kind of sent that out into the universe as I sent the email, and many of them said, weirdest thing happened. This wave of energy came when I opened up the email, right? And then I felt like, oh, I really got to support this guy because he's doing the things that I do, and blah, blah, and it just felt good. And they put words on the energy that I sent it out with. So that's just one example of the best possible outcome. Sometimes is qualities as opposed to something we're attached to, right? If I would have said, Joe Vitale says yes, and then Joe Vitale said no, I would have been heartbroken. Right? And I would have been like, okay, all right, bye. And then we'd be done. But because the best possible outcome was we created connection and we felt good, and it was all these qualities, even when he said no, I felt like I had still had the best possible outcome. And because I wasn't in a place of attachment and feeling let down if he said no, I could say, or remember to say, well, who do you know that would be a match for this? And then I got a bunch of names, right? From Joe, which I wouldn't have got if I was attached to the outcome. I would have got my feelings hurt and just shut down the stream. So it's really, when we get into best possible outcome, it's about qualities. It's about other things that are not attachment. And so how do we identify that? How do we focus on the things that will really, if they come into our life, make our world a better place? And then how can we do that without attachment? So week 5, I'm excited. Can you tell? I mean, it's kind of a thing I'm excited a little bit about. Week 6, I love who I be is up to me. Oh, I love that. That's like drop the mic, workshop over. No, I just love that title. Who I be is up to me, right? So we get into who are you, how are you currently being, right? How do you wish to experience yourself? And we will give you a tool that will change that story forever, not only in your conscious mind, but in your subconscious mind, because our subconscious mind runs the show in so many ways, right? And so we want to be able to tap into that and get the subconscious mind on board with knowing the truth of who we really are, knowing all the good stuff about us, knowing all the things that we desire and want to create to be a difference maker in this world. And then once we get subconscious mind on board with that, again, things start to shift in our 3D world, start to show up in a way that you will be so clear that it's the work that you did, right? With this, uh, with this particular tool. And then week 7 is up leveling your reality. Up leveling your reality. So we really want to get into the question of what does heaven on earth look like? If you've been watching Solution Sunday for a while, you've heard that a few times, right? You've heard heaven on earth from this beautiful spirit right here, Lisa. So what does that really look like, right? And we want to get in there and explore the infinite possibilities of that. And then so we'll dive into that, and then we're going to do a live Q&A to follow up with anything that's come up along the way. In the 7 weeks, you're going to be like taking everything that we have taught you the week before out into the world and doing it. And so uh, and manifesting things. And so I'm sure that some questions are going to come up, right? If even what's my next step, right? There will be questions that come up, and so we're going to do a live Q&A to really wrap things up and and get in there and find out what we've been creating, and what questions did that bring forth, so that we can put you just right on the path to exactly what we're talking about, to mastering the creation of your own reality. And I am so excited, Lisa. I'm so excited that we are going to do this beautiful uh, living workshop together with all of these beautiful spirits, all of these beautiful beings, all the folks that watched Solution Sunday, and that watched the movie, and that read the book, and that find their ways to us, even in none of those three ways. And that's what I love about the way that it works out, is people will find this how they find it at the perfect time. And isn't that always the way that it works?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about this too, because really this class is for anybody. It is for everybody who's here, who really wants to see a better world, who wants to be able to live in peace and ease and joy and health on this planet. It's, this is the time of the Great Awakening. And there are many of us who are here as the light workers to shine our light and to start really creating a whole new way of being on this planet. And that's what this class is really all about. It is about how can we make this as simple and transformative as possible? How
Mm.
can we give you tools that you may not have heard of before, or that you even have heard of before but not heard in the way that we're going to be speaking about them? And
Yeah.
how can you really take your reality into your own hands? Because it's
Mm.
not about, we're not the ones who are here to do it for you. We're not here to be the gurus and experts. We're here to help empower each other.
Hmm. Yes. Yeah, we're the teachers and the students. Right.
Right.
and and I love on the page that shares all about the program. I love at the end I put, to recap, you will receive 7 life transforming classes, 7 downloadable guided journeys, and 1 major shift of consciousness. And I absolutely know that that's what will happen. And I'm looking forward to hearing, like, all the stories that we're going to hear. Like, I'm already on the other side of it, right? Can't wait to hear all the stories of transformation, and each week, and all the emails of, like, oh, I said this and this happened. I envisioned this and this happened, right? And the healing that's going to happen in people's bodies, healing in their mind. This is why we do what we do, folks. Is because it feels so good to be passionate about being in service and teaching the things that we've learned, to share that, to share that with others, is what both of us are very passionate about and looking forward to.
Yes, and it's really all about community, bringing like-minded, like-hearted souls together in
Hmm.
community, where it is safe for us to share the information, to share what's on our hearts, where there's no fear of reprisal, and where we can just simply have conversations in
Mm.
community, so that we know that we're not alone, so that we
Yes.
can empower each other, so that we can encourage each other, cheer for each other. It's about lifting each other up and helping each other to remember that we are grand beings of light. We are angels in human form. But
Hmm.
what does that actually mean? It sounds all great, But what does it actually mean in practical terms? How do
Right.
we bring that into practice?
Mm, mm. Yes, and that was really the one of the questions that we were looking at, and you were saying we're all being like light workers right now on this planet, and so how can we get the light workers into action, right? Into mastering their reality in such a way that you get clear why you're here, and that this is absolutely the truth, right? That you can create, do, be, have anything that you desire. And once you have that clarity, it's amazing how quickly you can manifest the things that used to feel so far away, used to seem so big, and you will speak the word and then it happens the next day. I mean, how many times can that happen before you really step in to your mastery and say, oh, okay, I know why I'm here, I know why I'm here, so how can I continue, and how do I expand that, how do I take that light and shine it out in a way that it's so clear that people can feel, see, sense you from a distance, right? From a distance. How you when you walk into a room and everybody stops and turns because your light is shining so brightly. Uh, yes, yes, yes. These are the things that we see. These are the things that we know for you already.
Yeah, and and together, when we each do this for ourselves, and then we hold a common vision together, it's in
Hmm.
that holding the common vision that we can all step into that vision.
Hmm.
You know, visions are put in front of us all day, every day for us to hold. But
Hmm.
a lot of those visions are not visions that any of us want to hold. We don't want to hold visions of death and destruction and war and financial collapse, but those are put out there prominently for us to view. So,
Hmm.
how do we change that without having to fight against it or, take up arms against these things? How do we change the world beautifully, simply, organically,
Yeah.
just by
Yeah.
shining our light?
Yes. Yes. And when those things are being presented, that's what I like to say, right? All of those seemingly negative things are being presented. Like I can hear any of them and not feel scared, not feel worried, not feel, and that's huge. Like so many years ago, I if I heard about a war or heard, like I would feel that, I would take it on, I would like make it my story, and none of that was good for my health, none of that was good for my well-being, right? Just all it did was made me sick and scared, right? And worried and fear of death and all of that stuff. And now I'm at a point where I can hear any of it and I just go, okay, that's one story, right? Or that's one way of looking at it. Or what I realized is so many of those things I've learned, and I mean at first it sounded selfish, but it's what I got and it's what came to me was in like just watching the news, right? Everything that's on the news is not happening to me. None of it, right? None of that's happening to me, other than one time where I can say like my brother saw on the news that our little sister had been killed, right? That one time it actually meant something to him. And then he found out on the news, which was not cool, right? He should have got a call before that. But anything else, it's like it's not happening to me personally. So I don't want to take it personally. I don't want to feel all the fear, worry, doubt, all of the shame, blame, all the things that you talk about and we show in the film. And I just now I see those visuals from the film when you say those words. And I found the people that were literally being the quality of those things, fear, doubt, worry, shame, blame, all of those. I just see those now. Uh, so to be able to hear information, to see things, but in a neutral way, so I can still get the information and know that it's happening, right? It's there. It's, it's been presented. Okay. But not take it on as my personal story and let it tear down the way I feel, right? To not take on other people's story. I call it other people's drama.
Yeah.
OPD, right?
Right.
That's someone else's drama.
Yeah.
Is not This is not happening to me. So why am I scared? This is not happening to me. So why am I in fear? It's not happening to me. And then when got in the media and I was actually in TV and found out how much of it, a very large percentage, isn't true anyway and was purely fabricated, then that was a whole nother piece. Then I was like, wow, I really am not going to take it on now, right? Because I know it's most likely not even true. So that was an eye opener and
Right.
helped me with that process, right?
Yes, but how could that be? It's on the news. It wouldn't be on the news if it wasn't true.
It must be true if they said it. Yeah. Yeah. But I had to sign non-disclosures that I wouldn't tell people that the story we worked on all day was pure fabrication. And boy, once I saw a couple of those news stories on the news that night, that's when I started looking at, maybe this isn't the business for me. I'm not sure there's enough showers for me to wash this off, right? Knowing the truth about this. And, I started one little small room at a time, kind of sharing that information. Uh, just hoping that I could just get uh, even three people in each room to turn the news off. I just felt like that would be a huge win because people are like, "Where do I start?" I was like, "Turn that off."
Yep.
If something is, this has been my experience. I'll speak for me. If I'm supposed to know about something and it's important for me to know and it's newsworthy, I find out about it. It comes to me, and all the rest gets weeded out. So when I go on Facebook, I'll see posts and people put up these like one sentence posts that don't even say what
Right.
it's about, and I'm supposed to know what that's about.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I must have been on the news, right? Because I have no clue what it's about. But it does come to me when it's for me and I need to know about it, right? And even if it's seemingly negative and it comes to me, then that's great. That's when I get to look at it and say, oh, cool. So this came to me. So what am I to learn from it or about it? Ooh, what's the message for me? And for me, that's the right question to ask. Because if I get the answer to that question, then it's helpful, it's supportive, right? It helps me create the reality that I want in the 3D world of in my hologram, right? So that's another thing we get into is that asking the right questions, right? We ask question. If a question starts with why, you don't want to know the answer to that question.
Pretty much. Exactly.
Why does this keep happening?
Yeah.
Right? God, spirit, universe goes, yeah. Why is it? And keeps giving you reasons to ask why. Oh man, no, no. How can I change this, or who do I need to be, or what shift can I make that will cause this, right? Those how, what, why, those are not why, how, what, um, those are questions that we really want to the answer to.
Yeah, by watching the news, it gives the impression that that is what is everywhere.
Right.
And, everybody's consciousness is then just herded into this is what it is. And I used to think, like, wow, like I don't want to live there. Like, I don't want to participate in any of that stuff. And to to think about, like, to live outside of that almost seemed like impossible, because like that is the way it is, and that's the
Right.
only way it is here on this planet. And
Yeah.
it took me a long time before I realized what it meant to be able to live outside of that, and to not get like to, wise one once said, to be in the world but not of the world. And I didn't
Yeah.
understand what that meant for a really long time, until suddenly one day I was walking in the world but not of the world, just observing the world around me and realizing none of those things are my reality. Like, my
Mm.
reality is really quite lovely. Like, my reality is very peaceful. It's very happy. It's very natural. I live out in the middle of the woods. Like, it's beautiful in my reality. And my
Yeah.
reality doesn't contain any of those other things that are,
Yeah.
posted in big neon signs everywhere for everybody to see. It's like, that's not it. Like, that happens in one layer, but we can live in a completely different layer, a higher frequency, and there's really no crossover between those layers.
Yeah.
And it gets really pleasant and fun living up here in the higher frequency bandwidths. So this is
Yeah.
also what we're going to be talking about,
Mm.
how to be in the world but not of the world.
Mm. Yes. Yes. That's just another set of words that exactly what I was talking about. Like seeing all of that on the outside, but not taking it on, not having it be in my world. I say I want to make a film. I want to introduce the world to my friends. I want to make a film and have it be from gifts that people gave me, fully funded by gifts that people gave me. I want to have, oh, now I want to have some really well known people that are in it too, so that we can even bring a brighter light to the project. I want to do all of this and in a very short amount of time. I'm going to make a film fully funded by gifts, famous people, and introduce the world to my best friends. And then, oh, also, I'm going to, how about I have a book and it'll come out at the same time? In my reality, within a year, all of that happens and a film comes out and a book comes out, and the book is 9 times, 9 countries, an international bestseller, and the film releases, and the world sees it. Like that's my reality. And would any of that have come true if I had fear, doubt, and worry at all? Like if that was even a thing in my the cells of my body anymore, I know that that would just not happen, let alone downloading how to reach out to these people, right? And getting a hold of them, or having like one person that I wasn't able to reach, and I'm just like, oh god, I would really love to have him in this film. I see him in this film and continued to see him in the film, even though I wasn't able to find him, right? And get to reach him, but I still held the vision. He will be in this movie. He'll be in this movie, and then have one person say, "Well, who haven't you got that you want in the film?" And me say that person's name, and they say, "Oh, he's a buddy of mine. I'll text him and tell him he has to be in it." And then he texts, and then while we're still on the phone doing this interview, it's like, "Oh, yeah, he said yes, he's in." Would that happen if I had fear, doubt, worry, even a doubt, right? That the things that we're going to teach you are absolutely true, that they absolutely work. Um, Absolutely not. But was this the way that I thought uh, way back when I wrote my first book? No, right? 2002? No, when I was like ate my way up to 310 pounds, so I was not happy within my 3 feet, right? I wasn't believing in myself. Absolutely not. It wasn't always this way, but I did the things that we're going to be teaching you myself, and that's what I love. We are not sharing anything that we haven't road tested ourselves and shared with others and had seen them get results over and over and over again. And yeah, it's so amazing that it works, right? How amazing to know that we are directly connected to the source that created everything, and that we are not only co-creators of our universe, but actually the creators. And that was a big jump too, right? I I heard a lot about co-creation, and that was awesome because that was the bridge, if you will. Right? That was the bridge that helped me start to try things on, like affirmation and visualization and those tools, and try it on because it was like, oh, I'm in co-creation with the universe. And, and then at one point I was like, wait, oh, if spirit, God, universe, if that's all energy, that means that I am that. So it's like, oh, I'm creating this. I'm creating, oh, that's a whole nother level. Right? And that's what I loved about when we got together and started sharing. uh you were saying this, that you were saying the same thing, right? You didn't use the word co-creation, right? You said we are that, like I am that, I create that. And I was like, ding 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 ding, it's a match. And there were, I met a lot of people on the speaking, out there in the speaking world, and a lot of people that wrote a lot of books that I had read and all of that. And there was still a whole lot of putting it outside of you, right? And that's the thing about the words co-creation. For me, I realized, wait, oh, I'm still, if I'm saying co-creation, then I'm still relying on something outside of me, thinking that that's why it's happening because of that thing outside of me. If I'm in co-creation with the universe, then the universe is doing it, and I'm just, holding the video game
Right.
pad. Right? But it's, I heard one of my master teachers who teaches what we are sharing with you, uh, one time say, okay, so you love movies. Well, okay, so your life is the movie, and you're the producer, you're the director, you're the star, and you're the writer of the movie. And that was like a whole nother level. Right?
Right?
I would even maintain that you're the gaffer, you're the the lighter, the one who drops the mic, like everything about the film, like that's you. And so now that we know that, right? Now that we know that that's true, how do we remind ourselves of that every day? What are the actions that we can take every day to prove to ourselves that that is true, so that once we know without a shadow of a doubt, because of all the work that we've done in 7 weeks, that that is the truth, right? And what can you create?
Yeah,
That's the good stuff.
exactly. How do we create lives that we love to live?
Yes,
We are not
yes,
supposed to be here struggling and fighting for survival on this planet. It is simply not part of universal law. We have been living against universal law, which means we're fighting against the universe here on this planet, fighting
yes,
against each other, fighting against our natural state of being. And it is
yes,
time for us to stop the fighting and start
yes,
living and loving and really being alive here on this beautiful planet.
yeah. And that's why I chose to be here. I didn't choose to be here to be miserable. I can guarantee you that.
Right?
Right? And you
Yeah.
and I kind of have the gift of, we were born on this planet actually remembering. where most people are born forgetting things that happened before or where we came from, and we were born with memories, remembering things. So that was great for us, right? And not everybody has that. And so these tools are to help you remember, because it's in there. It's absolutely there. All the answers that you need are right there inside of you. And so to remember where you came from, to be able to remember all of that is is a muscle like anything else, right? Is something that to be trained, to be worked until it becomes effortless. And then once you tap into the effortless of that, then you'll be able to get your answers in real time, as opposed to having to sit around asking a question for 24 hours, right? To get the answer. You can say asked and answered. And I love that phrase. And I remember hearing it so many years ago. And again, like you said, it was a phrase that I was just like, what do they mean by that? Right? Asked and answered. And that means I asked a question and I received the answer like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, how do we start tuning in and listening to our own inner guidance? And how do we start trusting our own inner guidance over the voices that yell so loudly in the external world and tell us that we can't trust ourselves, that we can't trust our bodies, and that we don't have the answers when clearly we do, and clearly we can.
Yes.
So if you are one that is looking for some of these answers, that wants to start to tune in and trust your own inner guidance so that you can start taking your reality into your own very capable hands, this is a 7-part series that is for you. So come and play with us. Come and let us help you remember who you truly are and the gifts and talents that you already possess, and
Yes.
help you to see your body's ability to heal itself.
Yeah. Yeah. And the first step is trust your inner guidance to take this course, right? So it's like we'll have a link that will be below, right? We'll have a link and click the link and read the page and feel into it and trust that inner guide. You get a yes, join us. We absolutely will love to be with you for 7 weeks and take this beautiful journey together.
Yes. Now, I know I can hear people asking, what if I can't come to the class?
Yeah, well, of course, we're recording. We will be recording all of the class, and we will be recording the part where we're teaching. And then at any point that we're doing Q&A, we will stop the recording so that people are able to ask the questions that they want without being on camera, right? Uh, and so, yeah, the recordings will be there for you, as will the guided journeys that are happening at the end of each class.
Beautiful. So you will have access to these classes for life.
Yeah.
You'll be able to download them, you'll be able to keep them. And so if you can't attend one or more, don't let that stop you. Just
Yeah.
know that the information that we will share in these classes is literally timeless. It is good for all the time. Anytime you need this information, it will be here for you. And the
Mhm.
more you go through these classes and the more you listen to each class, the more you will hear in each class, because each time you go through the class, you will start listening from a newer level of consciousness where you've already heard a lot of this. Now you're going to listen, and you listen to it again, and it's like, oh, now you can hear the next layer of information that's available. So these
Yes.
are multidimensional classes. So they will land in multiple dimensions in multiple ways for you.
Mm. Yeah, I love to do that when I have an online course. I love to do it multiple times because again, I always have a deeper cut the second time and an even deeper cut the third time. So I like to do them 3 times. And the workshop series that my wife and I came up in Insight seminars, they had a one, a two, a three, a four, right? And I found the second one to be potentially the most powerful workshop that I had ever done in my life. So I actually would be an assistant, be on the team for that seminar, and I did that over and over and over again because I knew it was coming. Then each time when I was doing the work, I was doing it at a deeper cut. So I love that you put words on that because it's so true. Any of the courses that I've really found benefit, like true benefit, I've done multiple times.
Mm. Yeah. Beautiful. Well, we certainly are looking forward to having all of you come and join us for this beautiful 7-part series. We hope that you have already watched The Inside Effects movie. Go to theinsideeffects.com if you have not seen the movie yet, and find out how you can watch it for free online. And the book, The Inside Effects, is available on Amazon and has some incredibly profound healing stories to help inspire you to recognize your ability to have your body heal itself. So now, once you've seen these 2 things and you are ready for the next steps, this is what Keith and I have to offer for you is 7 steps to mastering the creation of your reality.
Yes. Yeah. We look forward to seeing you there.
Beautiful. Keith, thank you so much for joining me for another Soul-Lution Sunday. It's always such a pleasure and a delight.
You're welcome. Take
Great.
care.
So if you're watching this on YouTube, check the show notes and you'll have a link to the class. If you're watching on or listening on Connecting You to You Radio, check the show notes. And if you are watching this on Facebook, check the comments. Links will be there for you. Beautiful. Thank you all so much. I'm Lisa Warner. I am the author of The Simplicity of Self-Healing, now in its 10th anniversary edition. And if you'd like to find out more about Keith, go to Keith Leon S. Google Keith Leon S. and you'll find out all the information you want.
Yes. All right. We'll see you all really soon.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Till next time, create for yourselves a great week. Bye for now.